And it's Ken Kraetzer for Talking Business, and we have a chance to visit with our good friend Larry Woodard from Stanley Advertising right here in White Plains. Larry, always good to see you, and offer a birthday greeting today. It's your big day. Good to see you.
Hey, great to see you as well, and as always.
Very good. Well, it's you started your company here a couple of years ago after working for some major advertising communications firms in New York and elsewhere, and you work in a variety of businesses. Tell us a little bit about the company.
Great. So, Stanley Advertising is the name of the agency, named after my dad, and we bill ourselves as the world's most nimble digital agency. And with all the changes that have been going on in digital and in mobile, it has been quite a wild ride.
Well, we were just talking a little bit about the changes in spend in communications and in advertising. Now, digital has started to exceed traditional advertising for the first time in the last year or so. Why is this big shift? What do you see really changing and pushing this shift to digital communications?
It actually isn't a number of things. It's really only one or two things. It's Amazon and Google. So essentially, they sort of did it backwards in that they amassed the people, and then because they had to show a profit, they started obviously selling, and I put it in quotations, advertising. So the fact of the matter is that it really is the power of Amazon, the power of Google, and people needing to reach people, and Facebook as well. So Facebook, Amazon, Google, and that's why there's so much activity going on in those spaces.
Absolutely. Well, you've had a distinguished career come out of Syracuse University. Tell us about some of the steps in your career in business and in communications.
Well, steps. They always say that you fail forward, and that really sort of characterizes what happened to me. Went to school, thought I wanted to be a lawyer, got very, very lucky and got exposed to some law firms early on, and realized that I not only hated lawyers, but I hated law firms as well. Kids were in the Newhouse School. They were studying advertising. It looked like they were having a ton of fun. So I gravitated towards that, and roommates were involved in Newhouse. So I started getting involved in advertising. Started an advertising agency called Commercial Graphics in school, which did fairly well, and really fell in love with the business. The business fell in love with me. Got some early career bumps, did some fun things. Finally got down to New York City in the mid-'90s, and then my career really took off by working for some rather prominent advertising agencies.
Very good. I know you do a lot of writing and advisement of clients, and you've worked in various areas, including sports. I know you do work with auto racing. What are some of the areas that you tend to like to work in your client projects?
So right now, at the present time, we happen to have basketball clients. We have clients that are in surfing, of all things, and we've got clients obviously in racing, auto racing. All very, very different, all absolutely challenging given these days. Imagine, if you would, surfing, where you just got to go where the waves are. So maybe one week they're in Fiji, and you can't really have that much of an audience in Fiji, and you also can't program exactly what time it's going to happen, because it's going to happen when the best waves are happening. So in social media, they'll let their huge audience know what time it's going to start, and then via social media like Facebook or something like that, you can watch live streaming, and they have the broadcasters or whatever. But it's one of the sports that's propelling what's happening in social media.
Well, you're describing in your career kind of a change to some of the digital media platforms. I was up at a big print production company last week, Universal Wild up in Massachusetts, and they've obviously gone through that transformation to be able to fully work off digital materials. What are some of the keys for a company that's still making the transition, things that they should prioritize in becoming a digital communications company?
That's a fabulous question, because it really is a convergence of two very, very different disciplines. And so when clients use it now, they're either weak in one, we find, or weak in the other. An example is that advertising is all about creativity. It's all about making the client want to look at what you do by knowing a lot about the consumer and his behavior. On the other side, digital is a lot about knowing where the person is, what they're doing, and being able to get to them in ways that, in some ways, are extremely intrusive. So take, for instance, General Motors, which bought EDS. And then after they bought EDS, they just had a ton of information about you, because the EDS was a big credit card company. So when they send you a letter, they don't have to say, "Dear Buick owner." They can say, that they know that you've got a red Buick. They know what you do. They know where you live. They know what you. So that data mining, advertising is having a difficult time figuring out how to use the information that you have without turning a customer off. And the fact that you can reach them at all times and follow them around, like in programmatic advertising, what the balance is. And so on the advertising, the digital side, a lot of people aren't traditional advertisers, and so they don't know where that line is. On the other side, the traditional advertising people who know where the line is, know where wear out is, they don't necessarily have the skills to be able to practice digital advertising.
And one of the things we see, myself even, is, you have a cell phone, you have a tablet, you may have a laptop, computer, you may have a big screen, and trying to build consistency across all those different platforms is a challenge, as the customers are more and more expecting that the same offer, the same messaging will be available on whichever website that they go to. How are some of the ways that clients can build that? It seems like that means they really have to organize their communications around the message which is being sent out on multiple platforms.
Well, we try to think of some simple ways that the clients can think about it so that they can get their arms around it. So one of the things that I talk about a lot to our clients is the whole idea of building community. So imagine at one time, let's take a NASCAR race. You'd have 120,000, 130,000 people go, and they'd be there from Wednesday to Sunday. And that's a community that you've built. And within that community, you can do all kinds of things. Advertisers, at one time they had 300 advertisers, could brand in very specific ways. Now with the internet, what happens is that you can build community anywhere. So, for instance, take the big community that's been built with Scandal and Twitter, where the cast of Twitter tweets the show along with the viewers. They've created community. The people didn't have to go to any one place. They didn't have to go to any one thing. They just had to pick up their device. So if you think about what you're doing in terms of trying to add value, whether it's entertainment value or whether it's educational value, and creating community, the trick is to let the customer self-select as opposed to going out and being intrusive with the customer, which again would just make them dislike you.
Absolutely. And Larry Woodard, CEO of Graham Stanley Advertising here in downtown White Plains, New York. Just highlight some of the services that you can provide to your clients.
Well, the most important service that we provide, particularly these days, is strategy. So often we've seen that the strategic role and the marketing role within corporations has changed and in certain ways been devalued. When I was coming up, generally speaking, your marketing guy was going to be in your C-suite. Now, so often you have maybe a younger person, and they've got that, and under their responsibilities might be social media, might be direct. There might be a lot of things within their purview. So what we try to do is we try to offer strategy, a high level of strategy, and maybe even given our platinum Rolodex, we might even be the conduit. We might have a higher connection than our clients do, our direct clients, with their senior management. And so we merge traditional advertising with digital advertising and just try to give our clients a robust offering across advertising and digital advertising and mobile to reach their customers, create community, and increase sales.
Very good. Larry Woodard, CEO of Graham Stanley Advertising here in White Plains. Happy birthday, and great to see you as always.
Thank you. You as well, Ken.
Thank you. This is Ken Kraetzer for Talking Business by CBSI Services.